Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Dr. David Smith, a lecturer in political science at the United States Studies Centre at the University of Sydney. David, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
An 8-vote win to Mitt Romney.
Yes.
But is it really Rick Santorum who's been the victor here, considering where he was at in the polls so recently?
Yes, definitely in comparative terms, this is a bigger win for Rick Santorum than for Mitt Romney. I mean, Mitt Romney hasn't even managed to get more votes than he got last time in Iowa. He's actually got slightly fewer. So, yes, it was important for him to have this relatively strong showing in Iowa, but it's also important to perform relative to expectations. And he has perhaps not outperformed expectations, whereas Rick Santorum has dramatically outperformed expectations.
Why is that? Why has he gone from near the bottom of the polls but a few weeks ago to where he is now?
Partly because to many people he seems to be the only conservative alternative left. All of these alternatives have arisen: Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, Herman Cain, even, the likes of Donald Trump and Sarah Palin if you go back far enough, but they've all been disappointments. For some reason, all of them have seemed too inexperienced. Even Rick Perry seemed too inexperienced after 12 years as governor of Texas. And so Rick Santorum, it was a bit like watching the final sprint in a Tour de France or something. It's like the final guy who times the run perfectly in the last 200 metres or so. He had also been, though, vigorously campaigning in the state for the last year. He had visited all 99 counties in Iowa. He's probably met some statistically significant proportion of the population of Iowa, and that kind of stuff is really important in the caucus race.
So, in terms of the closeness of this, we've been told that historically this is as close as it's ever been.
Absolutely,
This
yes.
is the closest. In light of that, what will the respective Republican camps take away from that? Indeed, what will the broader voting public take away from that?
What Rick Santorum is already taking away from it is he's sending out emails to his potential supporters saying, look, I'm the one, everyone rally around me. Let's have no more fragmentation of the Conservative vote. This guy only got 25%. That means 75% of Republicans don't want Romney, so all rally around me. The closeness of it doesn't matter so much in the sense that this will mean that Romney and Santorum end up with nearly equal delegations in the Republican convention. And, I mean, this state is a fairly small state in the convention. It doesn't matter so much because of the number of delegates. What it matters for is it's an indicator to other voters in primaries about who other people are voting for and so who might be a viable candidate.
So in regard to that, following that on, will folks in other electorates, other states, be looking at the person? Or when do the issues kick in and how do they become entwined?
I would say the issues are always there, but there's always an element of strategy in the voting as well. Voters don't want to throw away their votes. They want to vote for someone who they think can win the general election. And there were polls done of people who went into the Iowa Caucuses today, and by far the overwhelming concern was who can beat Barack Obama. And so even some voters who might be a bit dissatisfied by what they see as Romney's softness on certain conservative issues recognise that he might be the one who can actually beat Obama, whereas some of the other candidates just don't have such broad appeal.
Now, when we're talking conservative politics in the US, we're also talking religion.
Absolutely.
From what you've seen so far, and particularly with the elephant in the room, the Tea Party over the past couple of years, how much will religion be playing a pronounced role in the process through this campaign?
The Santorum win today indicates that religion could be playing a larger role than we might have initially expected. For 3 years, the energy on the Conservative side seemed to be with the Tea Party, which at least for the first 2 years really downplayed religious issues. There was a very disciplined focus on taxation and spending and debt. But in the last year, we've seen more and more of traditional moral and social values creeping in. And what Rick Santorum has done is he's been the only one who can capture the imagination of evangelical Christians and conservative Christians in general, because he's actually a Catholic, but he makes common cause with conservative Protestants on things like abortion and same-sex marriage. And it's clear that none of the other candidates really actually appeals to conservative Christians that much. And conservative Christians can be, under the right circumstances, a fairly important voting bloc. And we can see today in Iowa they were an important voting bloc. And it could be that in several important states, I mean, we've got South Carolina coming up in a few weeks, for example. These conservative Christian voters could play a really important role. And Rick Santorum seems to be the one that appeals to them the most.
Who would you say at this early juncture looks like being out?
I would say that Michelle Bachmann is out. She came second last in the county that she was born in today, and that was her best showing. Rick Perry already seems to be indicating that he's out. I think that Newt Gingrich will hang on for a little while. I mean, polls are still showing him doing reasonably well in Florida and South Carolina, though I suspect that after today, those numbers are going to go down as well. But he'll be a very bitter and volatile and interesting presence in this race.
What do you mean?
Because he personally blames Mitt Romney and Mitt Romney's team for launching attack ads against him. He had started off saying, I'm going to go entirely positive. I think he's going to go almost completely negative from now on, and it'll be really interesting to see where he directs his fire.
Finally, you said the uniting cause here, the common theme is who can beat Barack Obama. That's
Absolutely.
What's in folks' minds. How will Barack Obama read all of this?
I think that Barack Obama, after today, will be reasonably confident that this race is going to drag on for at least for a little while, and that there's a really enough disquiet on the Conservative side that it's not going to be an automatic coronation for Romney, even if Romney is the most likely candidate. But Obama would have to prefer someone like Santorum to someone like Romney to compete against, because I think Santorum has a far narrower appeal, even if he does seem to be able to summon a lot more enthusiasm in the Republican base.
Dr. David Smith from the US Study Centre at the University of Sydney, I thank you for your time and your insights tonight.
My pleasure.